What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Struggle to Strength podcast, your source for real life application on how to turn your struggles into strengths in all things mind, muscle, and money. I am your host, Josh Levine, and I'm joined here by my longtime friend and my co-host, Travis Hatch. And today we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the founder, owner, and CEO of Nutritional Coaching Institute, my own business coach, my mentor, Jason Phillips. And man, we had a great conversation. We shot shit, we shared some hilarious and incredibly valuable stories, and we give you some key takeaways that are, and this is the most important part, easily applicable. Because just like the reason for why Jason created NCI, we realized that education without application is useless. Plus, if you listen to the end of the episode, you'll get some key takeaways and some resources that you can literally implement right now to instantly become more successful. Y'all, before we get into it, we ask that if you love this episode, please give us 5 stars on Apple or a follow on Spotify. Share us on your socials. You can find me at Josh Levine Fitness, Travis at Travis Hawks Media, and Jason at Jason Phillips is Nutrition. Links are in the show notes. Don't forget, you can now follow the podcast on Instagram. The Struggle to Strength podcast on Instagram is fucking lit right now, and there are tons of valuable clips on there for you all to go review. So go check it out. Share them to your stories. Really appreciate it. You can find us at Struggle to the number Strength Pod. That's it. I know y'all are going to enjoy this episode, so get ready because we're about to light it up with my man, Jason Phillips. Time I want to talk about like coaching UFC fighters. I think that would be badass too.
Butt sex, like we can talk about whatever.
Let's talk butt sex.
This is like
that was
the
kind of the
chat
theme of this weekend. Like when you guys are in Nashville and like butt sex keeps popping up, you'll know why. Like that was like the theme of this weekend. So
I'm not surprised.
Now you're like, what did I sign up for?
Well, no, now I'm like, okay, if that's why Arizona's like, what the fuck is Vegas gonna be like?
Lots of butt sex.
Yeah, well, it's up my alley, I guess. Sure, we'll go for it.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, obviously, I think a lot of our listeners probably know who you are, but for those who don't, I want to give yourself an opportunity to just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do.
I'm that guy that says fuck a lot. So I am the creator and founder and CEO of the Nutritional Coaching Institute. And, we're the entity that came in and, about 4 years ago and we kind of noticed a disturbing trend in the industry. There was a lot of education coming out and people were getting smarter and smarter and, macros were becoming a thing and all this science was coming out, right? Academia was getting cool again. And yet when you looked at like the real world scorecard, if you will, right? Like what was actually happening, we were getting fatter and fatter. Like obesity was climbing and disease was climbing. And so how in a world where there was more knowledge were we actually becoming worse? And that was the problem I wanted to address. And so that's why I built the Nutritional Coaching Institute. We understood that how smart you are is one thing. How you apply that knowledge is literally everything. And so we built a whole curriculum. We built a whole school on the back of application. And it's really dope because it's held true at every level. It's held true from certification of like nutrition and also when we stepped into the business world. And because I can get in a room full of business people and they can spout off numbers to me and they can give me sequences and I'm like, dope, how do you do that? And they're like, and I'm like, yeah, that's a problem. Like, I don't care how many textbooks you've read. I don't really care how smart you are. I care about like, how can you get somebody results? Because at the end of the day, that's the scorecard. That's what people pay us for. That's what people deserve. And yeah, man, that's what we did. So, 4 years ago, I built that. Today, back then, I mean, obviously $0. Today it's almost an 8-figure company. And so we should be crossing that in the next quarter. So yeah, pretty rapid growth in 4 years. I think years 4, 5, and 6 are going to tell a really cool story. And I think that we're really positioned in the industry right now to do some cool things with some cool people. So that's me, man. Simple and easy.
Yeah, and absolutely crushing it. And changing the industry for sure. Because that was my biggest pet peeve with all the education that I've gone through is first of all, it's fucking outdated. All of it's outdated.
Yes. And listen, fair play to some of those people, right? Because when I wrote my cert, I said, I'm not going to go through these like red tape governing bodies. And so, if you went to, I don't know, like some big governing body and you're like, who's NCI? They're like, oh, we don't respect them because, they didn't get approval through us. Like we don't offer, now like, NSCA and NASM and ISSA and all of them, like they offer CEUs to our program. So they recognize us. Right. But dude, to write a textbook, like inherently textbooks are already outdated. The approval process to like become a text is so long. And it's like in our industry, knowledge and education is emergent every fucking month. Like how can you stay up to date if you're not able to produce, right, on a semi-frequent basis? And yeah, it's kind of the benefit of us remaining independent and kind of saying we don't give a fuck. And
that also ties into, there's a sense of urgency that you've instilled in a lot of us as boardroom people, but like, yeah, if you can't get the information out, you can't get it into the right hands, then like, yeah, by the time you get it out, it's wrong or it's outdated or people aren't using it anymore. There's a better way. So it's been massively helpful. I mean, if any fitness coaches are listening, I highly recommend NCI. I can't say enough about it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, man. It's been great. And it is easily applicable. But that's only the education piece, right? That's educating, that's applying. You still got to learn how to build your business.
You got to do that too, man.
Yeah,
you can't have impact without reaching some people.
Yeah, you need money. And so I know when I saw you, I think the first time I saw you was you were speaking at Physique Education Collective. It was in Denver. I was with Kylie, and the first thing you did, I remember you put $100 on the table. You were like, "Who wants it?" You're like, "Fucking get it."
I did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Well, hold on. That's the answer that you would expect, right? Josh, tell him what happened.
Yeah, fucking no one moved.
What?
Dude, nobody Jason put $100 down on the table. He's like, all right, first person to take that can have it. And everyone kind of like looked around.
And I walked away from it. Like I wasn't fucking around.
Yeah, it wasn't fucking around.
I put it down in the middle of the room and I walked away.
Yeah.
I would have snatched that up.
Well, dude, finally, like I'm all the way in the back of the room. And finally, like people start to get up. And then once people start to get up, then a girl from the front got up and she was in the front row. Like she got it. Yeah. But the whole thing was like, where's the fucking urgency? It's a free $100.
Yeah.
And you were like, y'all are going to fuck up. She's going to win.
I like that too. Cause it's like noticing an opportunity and reacting quickly. That's so crucial.
With urgency.
Here's what actually happened. Like, a granular level is every person in that room instantly started telling themselves stories. Everybody. They're like, well, like if they're in the back of the room, they're like, I won't get there fast enough. Mm-hmm. Or like if they're in the middle of the room, they're like, well, like he's probably not serious. Or like, oh, there's probably a caveat. And nobody in the room was like, there's $100. I'm taking the fucking $100.
Right.
And I was blown away. I'm like, none of you motherfuckers are going to make it because none of you are seizing the opportunities in front of you. And like, it was definitely an eye opener, I think, to everybody in the room.
It was. I think a lot of people, at least myself, I was like, is he serious?
Is he going to punch me in the face if I take that dollar?
Yeah. Yeah. The funny part is I gave him like a lot more money like an hour later.
Yeah. A lot of people did that night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I probably made 10 or 15 grand that night.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know some of it was mine. So.
It was.
But yeah, sense of urgency was like one of the first things that you ever taught me. And it's like, it almost doesn't matter if the decision is right. It's an action. You need to take an action. And that's better than no action.
And that's it, man. Like, there's ironically, dude, like one of my mentors, I messaged him before I came out to Arizona and I said, hey man, I got a 5-hour flight. I need an audio book. What do you recommend? And he recommended a book called Ready, Fire, Aim. And I'm sure that you can assume like what that's about, right? Like 99% of, and I say this to my team all the time. Like we had a team call this morning and I was ready to rip heads off. And like people are talking about, we're talking about marketing campaigns and sales and people are saying this and that. And I was just like, who's going to shut the fuck up and actually go do work? Like, I'm so tired of hearing about the plans. Just go fucking show me. And the crazy part is like, a lot of people come to me in the last year, a lot of, former acquaintances, and they want to call themselves friends, but I'm like, I'm not sure we were ever really friends. They're like, yo, like you blew up. Like I got a message from a very well-known marketer, like really big name in the space. And he messaged me like 3 days ago and he's like, dude, you made it. Like, congratulations. And I'm like, first of all, I haven't made shit. Second of all, like, thanks, I guess. And like, I started processing it and I'm like, I guess the reason you think I'm doing something is because from the outside looking in, it looks like I appeared out of nowhere, right? All of a sudden NCI was everywhere. And I'm like, dude, like, I've been taking action since the day I founded NCI. It just, you never knew, you never saw because it wasn't big enough. But I knew, I've always said, and if you guys knew me back then, right, 4 years ago, I was telling everybody at that time, we're going to take over the giant. Like, we all know who the giant is in the space. I said, we're going to take them down. And I was cocky enough to say that on our very first, certification. I stood in front of a room of 40 people. And actually, dude, I'm going to give you the story in just a second. I stood in front of a room in 40 people in Chicago in a fucking warehouse gym. People were sitting on like box jump boxes, old ass couches. And here I am delivering like our very first level 1. Right. And so I'll tell you the story of NCI though. And this is what I mean by ready, fire, aim. Man, I don't talk about this publicly very much, but this is a good one. I knew I needed to build NCI. And so this was like April. I forget what year, but 4 years ago. And the December before, somebody had challenged me to build NCI. They're like, dude, like, you create amazing results. Like, your future is not going to be on creating results. It's going to be teaching other people how to create results. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I see the gap. We can do this. And so I went home from that trip and I wrote the whole curriculum. And then I did what you guys did in the room, which is I did nothing, right? I saw the opportunity. I thought about the opportunity, but I did nothing. I didn't take action. And I was laying on the couch in at that time, like, my girlfriend and soon to be wife's room, or on her couch while she's at work. Right. And I'm sick that day. And I'm like, I need to post something to social media, but I have no idea what to post. And at the same time, I was like, I really want to get engaged, but I can't afford like a $40,000 engagement ring. And that's what she wanted. And I was like, I wonder if I can post something on social media that would help me sell $41,000 certifications. Mind you, I hadn't written a certification. I was like, let me see what I can do. And I just like made a post, and it was probably some bullshit, but it was really good copy. And I had 100 responses. And my assistant was like, so I go into each response and I'm like, my assistant will message you. My assistant will message you. My assistant texts me. She's like, what the fuck's going on? And I was like, I'm like, I think we're going to have to do a certification this summer. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I think we're going to have to. A lot of people seem to want it. So no shit, dude. She goes to PayPal and she makes $1,000 payment link. And she's like, Jason told me we're capped at 40. First 40 people to pay, you're in. The next day I made 40 grand. Then I was like, oh shit, I got to write a certification.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm thinking.
So I booked a room out in Laguna Beach at the Montage. I sat on the balcony for about a week or two. And I wrote the very first version of what now has changed the lives of 5,000 coaches and, hundreds of thousands of individuals. And, but I mean, if that's not ready, fire, aim, I don't know what is. Right. Like, yep. I knew I wanted an outcome. Like, I knew I had been just, being a bitch for 5 months, and I was like, time to pull the trigger, time to do the damn thing. And, I think a lot of people got to do that, man. I think a lot of people, they need to just, and I mean, you're actually a very good example of this. Like, you do a very good job. I'll say, hey, Josh, like, run a scholarship, or, do a challenge. And you're like, all right, dope, I'll do it. And then like, you ask questions on the back end, right? Then, once we get into it, you ask questions, but, you're very good at that, man. Like, and that's why you're becoming more and more successful, because you're an action taker. Like, there's very few people I meet that are really willing to take action on a high level.
Yeah. I mean, I've always operated that way, back against the wall. Like, if you give me a timeline and something to do, I'll just fucking figure it out. And I learned that about myself, that it's your story actually resonates a lot with me, because yeah, if you just tell me to do something and like historically you gave me like an option, I would wait. Like, I would for sure wait, or I would like sit on it and try to figure it out, or I'd get worried about failing or how it was going to go. And then I finally learned that about myself, and I was like, oh dude, I just have to fucking like put it out there. And then I have no choice but to do it, and I'll figure it out. Like, what's the worst thing that happens? Like, at this point, the worst thing that happens is like, I make a little bit of money. you know, or like a post flops.
I love that, dude. I don't think you've ever heard this story. I'm sorry it's becoming story time, but I hope.
No, this is great. This is what it's all about.
I don't think you've ever heard this one, bro. Like when I built my coaching business, right? I mean, you know, I started as an anorexic and all of that. Like, we don't need to get into all that, but like my journey into fitness was, I was an anorexic, and I switched my major in college. I decided to go all in on myself to help people. Right. And to be fair, I fucked around for like 9 to 10 years. Like I dabbled and I never fully committed myself. And I always was like, well, like, I'm not going to be very good at this. Like there's other people that are way smarter than me. And so like, I kept going to like the backup plan. I kept getting a job, and one of the jobs is actually pretty dope. Like I was the nutrition coach for a very well-known CrossFit company. They had 600 athletes. And I was like, man, this is my dream job. I got security. I get to be nutrition. Like I got a paycheck. I'm like, this is fucking cool. Right. And so I moved to Arizona, and I was like, not to be a dick, but you guys are leaving a lot of money on the table. Like when I went in their business, I'm like, you guys are leaving like at least $4 million that I can identify on the table every year. And the owner was like, tell me more. And I was like, well, you could do this and you could do this. And they were like, well, do you want to do it for us? And I was like, wait a minute. Now I get to run a $5 million business, and I'm in Arizona, and I get a paycheck, and now I get an office. I'm like, this is fucking cool. Right. So I took the job, and I was like, all right, dude, I was making like 200 G's. Like I was like, I mean, my life had made it. And I get on this plane to go from Scottsdale to Lansing, Michigan. And on that flight, this dude, like 2 rows behind me, he's like looking at me, and I'm like, you know me, bro. Like I'm super introverted outside of like, you know, public events. I'm very extroverted, but like away from that, I'm massive introvert. And I'm like, man, I hope this guy doesn't catch my eye. And I could literally see him like doing like this whole thing. Right. And I'm like, fuck. So like finally I like look, and he caught my eye, and I'm like, all right, like, what do you want? And he's like this heavier set dude. And he's like, starts asking me all these nutrition questions. And so I started answering them, and, you know, dude, we land the flight, and I turn around, and I was like, man, like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm so lit up right now. I'm so excited. I love doing this. I'm like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I pulled my phone out of my pocket, took it off airplane mode, and I sent in my resignation letter right there in my seat. Like, let me tell you, I had no savings. I had no backup plan. I had no idea what the fuck I was going to do. But I knew that if I didn't do it right then or there, I was going to I was never going to do it. I was going to make excuses, and I was going to tell stories. And so I did it. Like I went all in, and I call it my all in moment. Now here's the kicker. 3 months later, I was broke as fuck. I was overdrawn on my bank account. I couldn't afford coffee. Right. But 3 months after that, I was doing 10 G's a month. And 9 months after that, I was at $1 million run rate. Right. And so literally 1 year, like 1 year and 3 months from the date of my all in moment, I was becoming a millionaire. All because I made a crazy decision that still to this day has no like proper justification, but I knew in my gut that I should do it. And it's like, man, if you can't go all in, you're just not going to create big success. Right. And that's why when I get people to commit, and I ask people to commit to themselves, and if they want to work with me, like that's super cool. I'm like, dude, I've been in your shoes. I get it. Like I totally know where you're at right now. And I promise you the results, they're pretty fun. So yeah, man, I don't think I've ever told you that, but dude, you gotta do it.
I like that story. Yeah. There's like a component of recklessness that I feel like you kind of have in a way, right?
Yeah. I mean, okay, I don't,
it's a poor word, but yeah.
I don't want to say it's a choice of recklessness, but I also like, I think that a more interesting and perhaps another way of saying it is you have to give 0 fucks.
There you go.
You have to be,
there you go.
You have to detach from the outcome so hard. And it's so impossible for so many people, right? Like in that moment, and I think if you look back on really pivotal moments in your life, you're pretty detached to the outcomes. I mean, in an ideal world, like we want to create outcomes, but we're not attached to them, right? And there's a fine line because we have the desire to create something big, but you're so detached. And listen, what was the worst thing that was going to happen? I was going to get a job at Starbucks where I could have benefits, right? I could drink my Americano every day. I would never get declined, which is fucking glorious. And right, I mean, life would have been fine. I had security. They were probably going to pay for me to go back to school. Like, who knows? And it's like, there's always an option. And so what was the worst thing that was going to happen? I wasn't going to have a $200,000 job at a place that I didn't even like that much anyway.
Not yet, at least. Like you will eventually. You know that about yourself.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
Right? I like to think so. But I mean, shit, even if I was just working my way up at Starbucks and I became a store manager, like,
sure,
you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, but you know, I guess like my point in saying that there's always an option, right? There's always an option. And why not take the chance? Like, why not just invest in yourself? Like, go all in on yourself and, you know, time, money, energy, resources, like just go.
Yeah. And what's the absolute worst that happens? Like really, what's the worst that happens? And yeah, you're right. Travis and I talk about this all the time. We're like, worst that happens. Yeah. I get a job at Starbucks. I sell feet pics on the internet. Like whatever, dude, whatever it is.
I started OnlyFans, like whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I'm too old now, but like back then I would have been good.
There's always like a backup plan and a backup plan, and there's always something that you can do.
Yeah. I'm sure OnlyFans will have a 40+ soon. I'll be good.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You think soon? They already do, dude.
Hey, maybe that's our next biz op, bro.
I'm down. I'm in. I mean, I'm like future 40s. So you just got to get in early. You get a discounted rate. And then once I turn 40, dude, it's all over.
Dude, I'm in. Man. I'm in. I got you covered. I'll reserve your username, right? Josh will be in fitness. You're gonna be so famous by then. Somebody's gonna try to sell you your username on like grandpas of OnlyFans.
Probably, yeah. We should probably start doing that, right? We should probably start buying, saving usernames.
I mean, this is a completely different conversation. You should totally reserve your name on every platform. Yes, you should absolutely do that.
Okay,
that's great.
I'm gonna start doing that.
Like personal branding is kind of a big deal. Like that was serious advice. That wasn't like only.
Yeah, no, I 1000% agree with you. Yeah. Did you have something, Travis?
Yeah, I was on the topic of no fucks given. I think like a big aspect of that is like being okay with fucking up. Like how often do you fuck up, or how often did you fuck up? Like starting versus now, like because is it like it never ends, right? You're probably fucking up like all the time.
Yeah, I fuck up every day. Like I was 20 minutes late for this podcast because I thought I could podcast. I thought I could podcast from the lobby of a fucking hotel, and apparently the connection was shit. Like, and so like I made you guys wait, which I feel extremely bad for. But I literally, man, I fuck up every day, and I'm okay with that. You know, I think that I have a crazy theory too. I don't really think that people mind fucking up, right? I genuinely don't care that I fuck up. Like for me, an extra 20 minutes of my day, no big deal. I feel bad about you guys. And in my previously insecure days, I would have thought you guys were judging me now, right? I'd have been like insecure this whole podcast. Oh my God, they're so mad. I fucking was 20 minutes late. And it's like, no, like, I don't think you're that upset. And I think you understand, like, I really was sorry. And so it's like, you know, I don't know, man. I don't really think people mind fucking up. I think they mind the perception of other people when they fuck up, and they create these stories that people are going to talk shit. And, you know, we all kind of like live for other people, which is absolutely insane, right? Like we do everything for ourselves, yet we're living for other people, which, you know, I don't know what it's like if you guys have made any like big investments in yourselves, but every time I do, people are like, oh my God, you're fucking crazy. And I'm like, dope. I'm glad you think so. Cause I don't give a fuck what you think. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I mean, I would love to put a number on the times I fuck up, seriously, but like, I'm not sure I can count that high.
Yeah.
Like you got to remember, like I majored in like nutrition, not math, and I'm pretty stupid. So
yeah. And
not sure I could ever get that high.
And any
like
coach
Josh
knows,
is really smart. He could probably figure it out.
Oh, no, dude, no, I'm a coach. You know, I can't count. No,
You're like one of the smartest people I've ever met.
No coaches and trainers can count. I don't care what anybody says.
No, we're good at fucking that.
If you're counting reps or anything, we get to 4 and then you're good. I have such a big water bottle because I can't count past 4. If I had to drink 4 of these, I'm good. Anything beyond that, I can't do.
That's the real reason behind why you guys live to failure, right? So you don't have to count.
So yes,
count anything.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's a good idea. I never really thought of it that way. I just thought I was like dumb enough that like I didn't know when to stop. But, yeah, I mean, no, like to a really serious question, I'd love to give you like a good answer, which is, I think that I failed a lot of times. Like I've had significant failures. I lost $300,000 in a supplement company. Like that's a pretty large fuck up, and I learned a lot. I've started partnerships with people that destroyed friendships. That's a significant fuck up. I've made some mistakes in relationships, where I was a horrible human being. That's a pretty big fuck up. You know, those are the ones that you tend to think of, right? Like as like the big fuck ups, but I mean, dude, we fuck up every day. I took the wrong turn today on a road. Like that's a fuck up. It's just, what are you looking at? Like where are you putting on a microscope, and what qualifies as a fuck up, right? Like what's the degree, what's the outcome that you're looking for to even qualify something as a fuck up? Or like, let's look at the opposite question. Was it even a fuck up? Like, did I just not know any better, and did I need to learn? And that's okay too. I mean, losing 300 grand hurts. Don't get me wrong, but I certainly didn't know any better. And I mean, if we dug into that story, you would learn that I built a partnership with a friendship, and we outsourced a lot to some contractors that completely fucked us over, right? Went behind our back, like did some things. And I didn't know any better. I had never owned a company of that magnitude where we outsourced 90% of the daily operations. And I didn't fucking know. So I had to learn, right? Sucks that I had 300 grand worth of learning, but that was the cost. And so, yeah, man, I hope that answers the question. I hope
totally.
I hope that gives like a serious answer.
Yeah. To that point, you've been able to scale companies very quickly. And
Yes.
I think a lot of people who, especially when we're first starting out, like, yeah, we fuck up a little bit, and maybe it costs us a little bit of money or a little bit of time. And I like your point on, your theory on fucking up. Like, I agree. I think if I fuck up and I put somebody else like with another human, I feel worse than they do. Like I feel worse about it than they do. I think most people are like that. But when you're fucking up in your business, like your fuck ups get bigger and bigger in terms of like the impact that they have. Like 300 grand. Like I'm not about to fuck up 300 grand right now in my business. Like it's just not possible right now. So, and especially as the company continues to grow, there are more moving pieces. Like how do you keep track of that? Do you just have good people on your staff? Like how do you grow in a way that minimizes the potential for a big fuck up like that you learned from that loss?
That's a really good business question. When you get to about, and I would love to give you a number, and this is a complete estimate. This is completely arbitrary. But I've noticed it's around $1 million run rate. So about $83,000 a month, right? When you get to that level, the game is far less about actively pursuing growth. And it starts to shift to mitigating risk and mitigating downside. And so when you actually look at that at like the highest level I can think of is like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, right? Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, billions and billions and billions of dollars invested, right? It's a pretty fucking big gamble, right? Because you're investing. There's no safety net there. And so Buffett always, his whole strategy, and somebody asked him recently, like, your strategy always works. You always produce returns. And it's so simple. Why are people not following it? And he said, nobody wants to get rich slow. Mm. And I was like, man, like that's some crazy shit, right? And so like we're all attacking the accelerator. And so listen, 0 to 80K a month, there's not a lot of risk. I mean, you go to 50K a month and you backslide down to 10K, not that big of a deal. Your life's not that different at 50K a month than it is at 10K a month. Like, unless you're a complete dipshit, you're not overspending money, and like, you should have some money in the bank. It is what it is. But your life, it gets considerably different when you start to get into like the millionaire status. And it I can tell you around 3 million is like really when shit starts to change, right? About 250K a month. And so it's like, at that point, I'm just mitigating downside, because between 250 and 750K a month, like you don't notice that many differences. So I'm starting to do things that protect me. I'm inserting people into my life, financial advisors, like people on my team, to take care of me. And like, that's really important to me. But everybody thinks that business is just an arbitrage of acquisition, and it couldn't be any further from the truth. And I think that I try to teach you guys that, right? I try to teach my clients that we're not only arbitraging acquisition. I mean, we're working on fulfillment, we're maximizing lifetime value, we're limiting churn, right? And when you actually study businesses at the highest level, several of them aren't, I mean, they look at CAC for sure, but a lot of the biggest metrics are churn. Like how many clients are exiting your business every month? Because it's much easier to keep a client than it is to get a new client, right? And guess what? They pay you the same amount of money. It's much easier to upsell a current client than it is to sell a fat package to a new client. And so that's where most of the hidden money in businesses is. And unfortunately, the gurus, as it is, like they're all like acquisition, new customers. I'll teach you how to get 10 new customers. Cool. I'll tell you how to upsell 10 customers and you'll be a lot fucking happier. Right. And it's like, that's, to me, man, like that's the big thing. I think that when you really start to understand how to limit your risk in this game, you also start to play with more freedom, ironically, right? You start to realize I'm playing a little bit with house money. It's not so bad. Like I can do more fun things. I mean, to give you an example, pull the curtain back on my business. I recently, my sales staff used to have a rule. When you get on the call with somebody, you don't get off the call until you collect $1,000. Like that was our minimum front end purchase. And we have, several different offers that can get you to $1,000. I've recently said, hey, you can bring that down to $750. And they were like, okay, because I started to look at the back end and I realized no matter what price point you come in at, $500, $750, $1,000, you're going to become worth about $6,500 to $8,000 to me, right? Some clients end up becoming $75K plus, but that's the real big arbitrage, is understanding not just your acquisition, right? But like, how much is a customer truly worth to you? And when you can put things in, to mitigate that risk, to maximize that value, now you're a business person. Now you don't have a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can relate to that. And it really is, on a much smaller level. Yeah. We've gotten my business to a point where, yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm cool. And then in between our pushes, like in between, the promos that we run or whatever that might be, I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like I'm just nurturing my current clients. I'm making sure that they have the best possible care, like I always do. And yeah, it takes a lot of pressure off, and I'm, continuing to do that throughout the life of my business. Makes a big difference. But yeah, getting new clients, that shit is stressful as fuck.
Yeah, it is for everyone, man.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks that's the only way to grow. I mean, listen, at some point you definitely got to feed the front end, but you can't neglect the back end.
Yeah. So talking about getting new clients, right? Obviously we're all in an understanding that keeping your clients, satisfying your current clients, and growing the business from within is going to be a massive part of your success. But you also have to get new clients. Like I'm still in a phase where we're getting new clients. You've done an absolutely incredible job of helping me, and I know a lot of our friends, build their businesses by getting new clients, just by getting them on the fucking phone.
Yeah, man.
So how can we get more people on the phone for the people who are listening?
So, okay, let's zoom out a little bit and let's understand the real game here. The real game is not getting new clients. Okay. And that's where everybody has to stop looking. Is there's this notion in the world that what you should be doing every day is getting clients. And at the end of the day, that is the outcome that increases revenue, but it's not the outcome you should be pursuing, because there's these actions that we all see. I mean, open up instant messenger on your Facebook or Instagram and you'll understand what I'm talking about, right? People are literally in your inbox trying to sell you immediately.
Oh,
it's like,
those are so bad.
Yeah.
They're so bad, right? And it's terrible. So it's the arbitrage that I teach is conversation, because I mean, dude, what did I do if you actually watched what I did in Denver, right? And I had no idea. I had no intention of selling that night. I didn't make an offer from stage, right? I knew that I was just speaking. It wasn't like a pitch thing, but people came up to me and they wanted to talk to me. If you would have watched what I did, right, you would have seen that all I did was talk to people. And inside of those conversations, I understand persuasion, NLP and all that. And I can lead you to a sale if I really want to, but I just talked. We had conversations. And so the whole time I was talking, I was just getting you to think. I was just getting you to consider some things. I'm teaching you, but I'm really getting you to consider things about yourself. And I said, by the way, if you want to talk, if you want to ask me questions, just come up to me at the end. I will stay here all night if you want me to. I don't leave till 4 a.m. tomorrow. And so I had like a line of people. I don't know if you remember that. I had like a line of people waiting to talk to me. And I would sit there and I would talk. And I'd be like, okay, cool. So, and like at the very end, I asked them like one question. I'm like, so what are you going to do? And they were like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, you want me to help you with that? And I love that. Okay, great. Well, my assistant happens to be sitting in the back. Why don't you just go sign up for this? And, I'll take care of you. Oh my God, that'll be so cool. Never once was I like, hey, we should work together. Right? I knew the whole night, all I need is conversation. And so if you start thinking about conversation being the real KPI in your business, be it phone calls, be it DMs, be it like just comments on Facebook, whatever, If you start thinking about how can I generate those three things, you will instantly become more successful. Because people trust other people that converse with them. Look at this on a grander scale, right? Like let's eliminate the internet. Let's go into Times Square. And let's just stand up on like the risers, like that are right there in Times Square and be like, hey, motherfucker, everybody buy from me. Buy my shit, right? It's $5, it's $50, it's $5 million, but buy my shit. Everyone's gonna be like, who is this psychopath? Right? Then get off right. And then, by the way, that's analogous to you going to Facebook and Instagram and saying, buy my shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, write this long caption. And by the way, if you want me to help you, click the link in my bio. Like, yeah, okay, jerk me off. Great. Doesn't work. Right? So now let's go up to each of the people in Times Square, pre-COVID, right? Super crowded place. And let's just like tap on their shoulder. Definitely, like you got to tap though. And you got to be like, hey, you want to buy my shit? They're going to like punch you in the face. Right? I mean, it's New York. That's what they do, right? They're going to fucking kick you in the dick and they're going to punch you in the face. And like, maybe if it's like an old lady, she'll pepper spray you. And so you're probably not going to sell a lot there. You might end up in the hospital with a pepper spray. That's the whole cold DM thing. But if you're walking down the street and you see a dude and you're like, yo, those Jordans, like they're like 1 of fucking 10. Where'd you get those? He's like, yeah, I see you, right? And it's like, boom, like you connected on something. You're like, yo, by the way, I got pairs number 2 through 10. You want them? Right? Dude's a sneakerhead because he's wearing like 1 out of 10. He's like, yeah, I want number fucking 2. And it's like, hey, like we got common interests. Let's have a conversation. You're not trying to sell him nothing right away. You're just like, hey, I got something you might like. Okay. Right? So all of a sudden you see people in Times Square, common interest. They're wearing an article of clothing that's the same. You make eye contact, you smile, you nod. Hey, how's your day? You're sitting in the Starbucks line in Times Square. The person in front of you goes to order. You step in, you say, hey, I'd love to pay for that today. Have an amazing day. Don't ask for anything. Have an amazing day. While you guys are waiting for your drink, you strike up a conversation. You think you can walk away with some contact info at the very least? And all of a sudden you start to realize when all of your actions are driven towards the prerequisite of a sale, which is conversation, everything starts to happen. And I really figured this out when I started to realize everybody was playing a game of conversion. Everybody was playing this like massive transactional game of I'm going to go out and I'm going to convert today. How many clients can I get today? And I was like, how does a client even become a client? And I realized there was 5 stages. The first is acknowledgement. Someone has to know who you are. The second is engagement. They have to actually engage with you. The third is intimacy, right? Public conversations don't lead to sales. You need to move to an intimate environment, private conversation. The fourth is a sales conversation. So even if you're talking to someone in intimacy, you need to shift the conversation into a sales conversation. And then the fifth is cash collection. You got to be able to fucking close, right? But man, when you're doing all 5 consistently, when you're creating new acknowledgement, when you're facilitating engagement, when you're moving people to intimacy, when you're generating sales conversations, and when you're collecting cash, your business grows. And it's not transactional. It doesn't feel sleazy. You don't have to spend all day in your DM and shit works. It's actually a function of how humans already work. You're not fighting like human just nature, right? You're working with human nature. It's so much easier that way.
It is. And it feels so much better to do it that way. And there's still a learning curve.
Yeah.
Like to implement everything.
And listen, it's going to evolve too, right? Because our world's going to evolve.
But every time you initiate a conversation, every time you tap someone on the shoulder, every time you start a conversation, every time that conversation leads to intimacy, like every time you do that, you're going to get more and more confident. And dude, this shit just starts rolling.
Yeah.
And it's just like with anything else when you're building confidence in any aspect of your life, it just becomes a part of who you are. And then you're just like a more outgoing, like you can turn on your extrovert side. Oh, yeah. You can just fucking do it.
Yeah. Yeah. When you start to understand too, right? Like I think that if you've done this long enough, you start to be able to predict the flow of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and like when you can start to predict flow, it's like, all right, this really becomes easy. That's where like the fun shit happens. Cause like everyone loves to ask me about like the closes I've done, and I've done some crazy closes, and everyone's like, how did you think about those closes? And I was like, you just got to know the flow of conversation. Like, I love closing. It's so
dude, we had somebody on the podcast last week, and I told him a story about one of your closes.
Tell him about the PV close?
Huh?
The PV close?
Yeah. The one in Florida.
The pussy bitch close?
Yeah. I was like Panama Beach. I was like, oh yeah, no, pussy bitch. Yeah. And I didn't tell him the full story, but I wanted to see what his crazy closes were. And yeah.
Well, you heard about the one where I walked out of the room, right?
That was where you got Kylie, right?
Yeah. I walked out of the room a lot. I literally just was like, peace out. I mean, I won't tell the whole story unless you want me to, but it was a good one. I made $250,000 off of 36 people that day. Yeah. Just by walking out of the room, being like, I'm going to be outside. Whoever wants to come, I'll be there. Everyone, right? That was basically I've been setting them up for it for a long time, but yeah. Now, when wait till you see Nashville this year, it's only going to get better. Honestly, it's so fun to be in that crowd and be like, dude, I'm already good. Like I'm already in. Like I'm not asking you for money, so it's like you get to observe. Right? No, you're not asking us for money, but you still take it. I mean, always. I'm an entrepreneur, bro. I'm a capitalist. Yeah. I mean, I still ran to the back of the room when in Florida. I think all of us were like, oh, dude, if that's under $5,000, we're doing it. Nobody's saying anything incidentally, that offer will be made in Nashville and it will be 5,000, but as it should be. As it should be. No, listen, I'll definitively say this. I always know the events and the experiences I put together are undervalued, and that's intentional. Yep. Bro, the value that came away the last 2 days was incredible. Like I went to bed last night and I was like, damn, like we did something good. I was like, that shit was fire. It was cool. So I'm really excited for you guys to experience it in Vegas. I'm really excited, man. Yeah. Now you were talking about like flow of conversation, and I think obviously this is a learned skill, right? Yeah. And you have to practice it. Does your education at NLP or anything like that play deeply into that? Is that something that you think everybody should be studying? So here's what's really funny, man. I am not classically trained in any sales or persuasion. No, you just get it. I just get it. Like, And listen, it's 100% a gift, right? Like I would be, and me and Hormozy were talking about this recently, and I was like, man, all right. Like when I do study it now and I hear about it, I'm like, oh, I already do that. But then I'm like, oh, that's why it works. Because like, there's a lot of things I've done that have worked. I'm like, why the fuck did that work so well? Mm-hmm. And then I have to go figure it out. But I'm very intuitive, but it all comes back to, dude, it's cool to bring this full circle, right? I've had so many fuck ups and I've been in such shit places. I know what's going on in your head. I already know. Mm-hmm. And so when I say something, I know the response because it's how I responded. It's how I would have responded. And so like when we're talking about conversation flow, I've already lived it. And if you don't respond that way, you're probably not a great fit for what we're doing. Which is totally cool. Like still love you, still want the best for you. But that's the crazy part, right? I do not think I would be nearly as successful as I am today had I not gone through that shit. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that's the case with a lot of people. For sure. Yeah. Dude, I mean, I've met a lot of we're all a little hard from it. Yeah. Yeah. And especially in your business, like you've built part of why I signed up with you in the first place is like you built a very impressive nutrition coaching business. Like not the first $1 million. I think we were the first multi-7 figure. Really? Yeah, I think so, man. Like we were like in the one-on-one consulting space. I mean, obviously like Beachbody and shit did it before us, but they're not one-on-one consulting. Like given the current frame of how things are, right? I think we were the first ones to really achieve that. Yeah. And so you've done it. And so obviously, for anybody who's listening and is getting bombarded with Instagram DMs of coaches who want to teach you how to get $10,000 months, like, dude, fuck $10,000 months. Yeah. Find someone who's done it before and you'll connect. Man. I keep seeing this. I keep is there something magical about $10,000 a month? Dude, I think it's just like I think that's what people think of as 6 figures. Is that the new 6 figures?
I guess. And people
you know
think
what I'm
that's
far more excited about is $10,000 days.
yeah, for sure. That's way cooler within a $10,000 month.
That's way more fun to me. And you know what's really exciting is $1 million months. Like that's fun to me.
Yeah, that's gonna be really fun.
Yeah,
that's gonna be really fun.
There's like I'm so fat. I actually was asking myself that last night. Like somebody sent me a link to somebody and they were bragging about $10,000 months, and I was like, I'm like, that's not that much money. That's like, dude, that's like $333 a day. Like, it's not that much.
No, it's not that bad. I also saw a post on Instagram, something about like, it was like a picture of a graveyard. And it was like, you like, are you like watching this graveyard from midnight to 6 a.m. for $80 an hour? I was like, what the, like, is $80 an hour a lot of money?
The sad reality is your $10,000 a month. Like, first of all, congratulations. Like, I mean, if you were at $2,000, you got to 10, like good for you. But
yeah, great. But then what?
How did you do it? And can you do it again?
Is it sustainable? Is it scalable?
Like, and that's the craziness. That's the crazy part to me. No one's having that discussion.
I think this is leading into a question that I want to ask that I've been trying to think of, like how to ask it. Because I think this is a problem that a lot of people have, which is like, maybe they understand the urgency and the momentum and they're good at what they do. And they're, like, they're good in a lot of different aspects, but they don't really understand money and how to make money. And that's one thing that I've been getting from.
I'm going to pause you.
Yeah.
They're not really that good at what they do.
Yeah. But I mean, like from like technically, like I do like video, maybe I can make like really good videos, but I'm either like underselling them or I don't know how to like.
So have you made a lot of really good videos?
I have. Yeah.
Okay. Are you making a lot of money from it right now?
That's yeah. I guess that's what
like,
I mean.
Like let's speak in relative terms. Are you making a good amount of money for your standards?
I think so. Yeah. At this point, but
are you making a lot relative to when you started and what you initially thought to be possible?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you're probably really good at what you do. And so that's always my first litmus test, right? I'll ask any producer of any kind. I'll say like, have you made a lot of money? And they're like, yeah, like I've done well. Okay, great. Then you're probably good at what you do. Nobody that struggles to make money is that great at what they do. And that's such a harsh reality. And everyone's like, wow, this guy's a dickhead. No, I'm just telling you the truth, right? If you were really good at what you did and you took 5 people on for free, they would refer you out and you would never have a lead generation problem ever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like think on that for a minute. And then you just put your work into the world. People are going to connect to it, right? Now, is that going to build you millions of dollars? No, absolutely not. Is it going to make you quote unquote a lot of money? Probably. Mm-hmm. Now you got to learn business. Now you got to learn how to scale.
Yeah. That's how both of us started our businesses. Like we both just started doing shit that we enjoyed doing and we were good at it. And then we both got to, at least I know I got to a point where I was like, fuck, like I need someone to help me grow the business now. Like, I don't know what to do next to take it to the next level.
Now business matters.
Now business matters. Exactly. But I was making good money. It was like more than I thought.
Already quote unquote making a lot of money. And that's where but that's the other problem. Like we'll have an offline discussion about this. Yeah. How many shithead coaches do you know that are following these gurus that are, I'm going to make money. And I'm like, you're going to make money at the expense of your clients. That's horrible. Right. And that actually really drives me nuts about the state of the industry right now.
Yeah. Fuck that.
It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, especially in fitness, we got into this business to help people. Yeah. Like that still has to be your number one goal, is to help people.
Yeah. Dude, Travis, I totally cut you off on that. Like, Philip, finish your question.
No, I mean, I think you answered it. I don't know exactly how to like finish the question. I mean,
well, you want to take it to the next level, right?
Yeah.
Are you asking how to make like a fuck ton of money?
Yeah, I guess I'm just asking like, what are the things that you focus on? Cause you seem like,
oh, got it. 4 things. Ready?
Yeah.
Getting leads, nurturing leads, making a lot of offers, and maximizing the value of a customer. The end.
Mm-hmm. The making a lot of offers, I think you mentioned something about Russell Brunson. It was Grant Cardone.
It was Myron Golden.
Oh, okay.
No, it was Myron Golden.
It was one of those guys. So, the most Myron annoying offers. So many fucking offers.
Yeah, Grant Cardone makes 7 offers a day.
Yeah. And he's rich as fuck.
He's the richest person like that most of us know.
Yeah.
Right. So, but Myron Golden has a really good story where there was a woman that wanted to join his mastermind. It was something like, I don't know, 50K paid in full. And she was like, I don't even have like 16K to my name. And so she's like, can I just do a payment plan? He's like, nope, it's 50K. And she's like, well, how do I get 50K? And he was like, well, how many offers do you make? She's like, I don't know, like 2 a week. He was like, start doing 2 every couple hours. All of a sudden, the following week, she comes back to him, 50 grand paid in full. She's like, and I have 50 grand in my bank account.
Yeah.
And he's like, what did you do? She's like, I made more offers.
Yep. Now
it's crazy.
Now
it's like
those aren't
thinking
necessarily,
bigger.
Yeah, but
that's
I think
what I'm thinking.
It's important to note that those aren't necessarily, here's like buy my product offers, right?
No.
Well, I think
and
a lot of people
thing,
think of an offer like that.
It also comes with a gross assumption that you have leads, right? Like if we said go make offers and you haven't done anything to add value to somebody, then they're not going to buy your offer. So you're making offers. And that's why it was the third thing I gave you, right? I said, generate leads, nurture those leads, make offers, maximize the value of your customers. And so it's like, you're not making offers until you've generated leads and you've nurtured those leads, because nobody wants to be spammed. And by the way, when you start to dig into Facebook advertising, which is a form of a direct response offer, if you look at the funnels that perform at the highest level, very few are direct sales offer. And if they are a direct sale offer, they're preceded by some massive amount of value, like a 45-minute video or something like that, like a VSL or a webinar. Well, imagine that. They got your attention as a lead. They nurtured you inside of this video. Then they made you an offer. It's like, holy shit, like mindset, like people actually want to be wined and dined before they want to be fucked. And it's like, imagine that, right? That's how human beings work. So yeah, man, that's it though. Like when you come to me, if you came to me as a potential client and you said like, can I grow my business? I would look at the ability to do those 4 things. If you came to me as a potential investor, I would look at it slightly differently. And I would look at like, what's the net cash flow in your business? And if I can cash flow your business, then I'll probably invest in it.
But yeah, but the end result is, generate leads, nurture leads, make offers,
build a machine.
Yeah. It is the machine, and it's all based on small offers along the way. Like, you've taught us have something of value that exchange.
That's it
for a conversation.
Dude, I mean, if you think about the 3 biggest offers that I'm typically telling you guys to run, there's a massive amount of value on the front end. Typically thousands of dollars of value on the front end.
Yeah.
Right. And
you tell us to give coaching for free all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's expensive.
100%.
How do you decide what to give for free or like how to build your offers?
You got to reverse engineer from what the solution you're giving the client is. And then 99% of the time, it's not really what you're giving away for free. It's will this generate a conversation, and does it have the ability to generate a lot of conversations? Right. So I'll give you an example. Like you're a video producer, something I assume based on what you said. Okay. Yes. So if you wanted to get a lot of leads for, like, hey, I'll build your hero video for your business, and it's a $5,000 offer or something like that.
Yeah.
I would go to the world and I'd be like, hey, I really, my hero video for my last client crushed it, made him $1 million. I want to make someone else a millionaire for free. Who wants it? Right? You're going to take one person. Well, any entrepreneur that sees that wants to make $1 million, is like, I'm in, right? You're probably going to generate 50 to 100 leads. Okay, cool. So actually don't be a douchebag. Choose that one person, give that away for free. By the way, you just generated yourself 49 to 99 other conversations, all extremely qualified, all of whom raised their hand that said, I want this product. They didn't necessarily want to pay for it, but we all know price is just a function of certainty. So now inside of the conversation, go create certainty, and boom, you just closed a shit ton of clients, all off of one offer.
Yeah.
The shit works.
Yeah. And by the way, it's the same premise I've been given the whole time. It's conversation. And it's done off of value. The end.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Cool.
Well, shit. I feel like I have a lot more questions. A lot more things I want to talk about.
I don't want to bombard you with questions.
Yeah. well, something I before we do finish up. Do you have time?
Yeah, I have like literally 4 minutes and I got to hop on another call, but like you guys can ask whatever you want.
Okay. Well, the last thing that I want to talk about was obviously building a business takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot away from other aspects of your life. You've built a lot of really successful businesses. Like, you need a lot of energy to do so. How are you balancing all this shit?
I don't.
Okay. That makes me feel so much better.
I don't. Anybody that plays that, anybody that's in the path to that level that says their balance is completely full of shit.
Yeah. Same thing with building a physique.
There's a time of sacrifice. And I'm not saying like, so, all right. So behind the computer, like Rico's here, right? And Rico spent time filming Jordan. And so he was around Gary Vee all the time. And if you think about Gary Vee on the come up, well, Gary was fat and Gary was unhealthy and Gary would tell you that. And for the longest time, like he didn't care. That wasn't like that. He didn't care about that balance. Then he hit a point of massive success and he's like, you know what? I should probably get a little balanced. If I had to hedge, and I don't consume nearly as much as content because I'm super busy now, but if I had to hedge based on the content I do here, he's also more balanced with his family today than he ever was.
Yep.
And I would think COVID was a driver. So I think that as you're on the come up, you kind of say fuck balance, right? And actually, when I went to Billie Jean's for the day, right, I recorded a podcast with Billie Jean. And Billy's crazy. And he's like, yo, throw your headphones on. Let's go. And I'm like, what are you going to ask me? He's like, you'll hear. And it was literally like one question. He's like, I'm going to ask you one question. And I was like, fuck. And so the question was, can you have a relationship on the come up? And I was like, oh, I'm like, well, given the fact that I've burned through 2 of them, I'm probably not a good person to answer. But I was like, and I was like, listen, can you? Sure, you can, but it comes with massive understanding. And I think that, there's no balance. And so as long as your partner is willing to succumb to a lack of balance and to be patient so you can balance, yeah, it can work. I don't think you should be pursuing balance, if I'm being super honest. But that being said, like, you're not going to be a fucking world champion bodybuilder and be a multimillionaire entrepreneur. You're just not. And, like, I suck at working out now, right? Back in the day, I would have gone and back squatted with either of you. Now I'll go back squat with the women because they're probably a little bit stronger than me and I look less weak. So, when I was in my heyday, like, dude, I could back squat 405 for 20 unbroken. I did 190 for 100 unbroken, right? Like, I had my numbers, I had my shit. But now if you ask me to do that, like, no, sorry, I need to go to the gym or I need to go to the office. I need to go work. And so those are the sacrifices I make. I'm still super unbalanced. I don't think until I hit like 20 million that I'll even try to find balance again, but I'm cool with it. Like I'm totally okay with it.
That's really good to hear. It's good. It's reassuring, honestly, because I feel
okay
like every now
it.
and then I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Oh man, it's such a fucking illusion. And by the way, at the end of the day, even like fuck me right now. Like just because I say this, like you can totally hang up this podcast and be like, fuck Jason. Like he says fuck balance, but I want to be balanced. Okay, dope. Like so good for you. That's totally okay. And so fuck the people that say balance is great. Fuck the people that says balance isn't great. At the end of the day, man, you got to choose because at the end of the day, you need to love what you're doing. Yeah. Like you've been around me enough. Like I'm rarely in a bad mood. And it's because I genuinely love what I'm doing all the time. And so fuck what everybody says. I don't care what they say. I don't need their fucking input. I just do what I do.
That's good. That's good. And it is reassuring. And yeah, if you want to be balanced and just be okay, like, especially with same thing with fitness goals, like if you want to be great, like there's a little bit of an obsession that is required to be great. Yeah. So be obsessed and be great or have balance or have balance later.
Yeah.
You can have it at some point, but
at some point you're going to have it, but I'd rather be balanced rich and not balanced.
Dude,
broke.
Same. Yeah.
Balance is so hard for me.
Like, it's just way more appealing.
Yeah. Anything with money is more appealing. I appreciate that. Man. Sure. Well, I don't want to keep you much longer, but I do want everybody who's listening. Well, first off, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been awesome.
Oh, dude, I've had a blast, man. This is like one of the most fun hours I spent.
I appreciate it, man. And I want everybody who's listening, I'm sure they're going to want to follow you. They're going to want to learn more about you. Give yourself a little bit of a plug. Where can they find you?
Yeah. Besides OnlyFans, you can find me at Jason Phillips is Nutrition on Instagram. So I definitely don't have an OnlyFans, but hit me up on Instagram. It's where, realistically, it's probably the easiest place to get to me. It's probably the only account that is actually run by me, not somebody else. So, send me a message, however I can help you. If you heard me from this podcast and you want to chat, just text me 323 605-2332. Like Josh can confirm that's my number. That's
Yep.
not some community bullshit. Like that's my actual number.
Can confirm.
So just text me, man. Like if I can help you, like if you want to get on a call, if you want me to like help you in business or whatever, that's cool. And if you're interested in NCI at all and you did hear this, just mention Josh's podcast and I'm happy to give you half off of anything that we have because I like Josh and I'm sure if you follow him, you're a good person. So
Okay.
Happy to do it.
I appreciate that, man. And for those listening, like Jason just gave you his number. This is the $100 on the table story. Like
Pick it up.
He's not fucking kidding. Send him a text and he will help you. Sense of urgency. Just fucking do it. Okay. But yeah, I highly recommend everybody reach out to him. I think that's all we got for today. So thank everybody for tuning in to another episode of the Struggle to Strength podcast. We will see y'all next week.